What is up guys, my name is Ignas, welcome back to the channel. So the market has consistently been getting red, and even today the S&P 500 is down almost another percent. So this year it seems that we had a poor start, as on the year to date the market is down for almost 13%. In such time of uncertainty it is definitely appealing to start looking into some quality dividend paying names. But how do we actually find these? So my first thought is to go through the dividend aristocrats. These are companies from the S&P that not only paid but also increased their dividends for 25 consecutive years. So these would definitely be quality companies with a sustainable dividend and growth opportunity for it. But even with those criteria, that is still quite a long list. So that is why I kept on looking for a shorter list with even more quality in it. And that list consists of the Dividend Kings. So these are the companies that consistently paid and increased their dividends for at least 50 years. 25 years is already a very long time. We had the dot-com bubble in the 2000s and then housing bubble in 2008, but those companies survived that and kept on paying. But the shortlist have been here for double that, for 50 years paying and increasing on their dividends. So the company that I picked from the Dividend Kings list is 3M, ticker symbol MMM. Right now it's trading at around $140 per share, and in the first 2 months of this year the stock lost around $40 per share, down almost 21%. And that's pretty much the same what it lost in the last 5 years, where back in 2017 it was trading at $187, and in those 5 years the stock is now down for around 25%. But today our focus is not the price, but rather the dividend yield that is now offered. So with the price moving today, currently the dividend yield is at 4.24%. If we take into account that they have been paying and growing their dividend for the last 50 years, this could be an interesting place to consider buying into the stock. To further look into it, let's take 3M's dividend yield history. So these are the dividend yields for the last 5 years. Back in 2017, dividend yield was at 2.33%. Then in a year in 2018, that was at 2.51%. In 2019, it increased to 3.34%. Then with the price dropping in 2020, the yield went up to almost 4% at 3.94. As the price was climbing back up, the yield went lower to 2.89%. And this year, with the price moving lower, the dividend yield reached 4% and is now above it. So there was this pandemic bottom in 2020, where the dividend yield was at around 4%, and we have that again now in under 2 years, where the last time we checked it was at 4.2%. Of course, we need to keep in mind that as a Dividend King, they have been consistently increasing on their dividend payouts. To further check on the yield history, let's open the last 10 years, but it seems that for the majority of that time the yield was under 3% and it only went higher than 3 by 2019. So we now know that buying right now we are getting the best dividend yield that we have seen in the last 10 years. Then what about 20 years? So there is a quarter back in 2019 where the stock price dropped to the lows of $32.90 and the dividend yield pretty much went to where we are right now at 4.2%. That was the only time in the last 20 years where we had a yield as high that it is right now. Also, don't forget to take a moment and admire this dividend payout chart where the payout has been consistently increasing for the last 20 years. To further check into the yield, I've added 3M into my dividend investing watchlist. So this is here the dividend yield history for the last 5 years, and it seems that on average in the last 5 years 3M had a dividend yield of 3.07%. As we already found out, the dividend yield went over 3% in 2019, and before it was closer to 2.5. So if we bought the stock back in 2017, we would have gotten a yield that is 24% under the 5-year average. Then in 2018 it was 18% under average. In 2019 it went over the 5-year average, I paid 0.86%. Then in 2020 it peaked at almost 4%, 28.4% over the 5-year average. And there was a moment in 2021 with the price surging and the yield going lower, where the dividend yield was under the 5-year average for 5.8%. But with this year's sell-off, the yield is now over 4%, meaning that it is now more than 32% over the 5-year average yield. So since we do know that it is a dividend king, consistently paying and increasing their dividends for the last 50 years, it could be an interesting opportunity to get into the stock and lock in that dividend yield that is now way above the 5-year average and as high as it has ever been in the last 20 years. Now, if you would be interested in getting access to my dividend investing watchlist, which tracks 3M and many other dividend paying stocks, then consider supporting the channel and becoming a patron. That is the second link at the top of the description. Now, if we are still not yet convinced about the safety of the 3M's dividend, there is one more step that we can take, and that is the payout ratio. The payout ratio suggests how much of a percentage the company's earnings are paid as dividends. So in 3M's case, the payout ratio is at 53.54%, meaning that around 54% of their earnings are distributed as dividends. So half of the company's profits are given back to shareholders, but there is still the other half to use, for example, to pay off debt, reinvest back into the business, or expand. So I do believe that this 50% payout is quite reasonable. And that was it. Make sure to support the channel and leave a thumbs up under the video. So 3M is my pick for the current market uncertainty. What do you think? Is it a worthy pick right now? Share your stance on it in a comment below. If you would be interested in getting notified exactly when I buy or sell any stock, then consider memberships. By supporting, you will get access to Discord, where I share my stock watch lists and all the buys and sells exactly when I do them. This could be a great option to track my moves closely. I recently did an analysis on another name, so if you would be interested in that, then click on a video that is currently on the screen. And that was it from my side. Thank you for watching, and I will be seeing y'all in the next one.